The second assignment where I saw really low scores, like students were having a hard time, was with this editing mistakes with present tense verbs. So you were supposed to take this paragraph and copy it into the text box. And then in the directions, I said you will fix 8 mistakes with present time, verb tense, and form. So I really didn't want you to focus on anything else besides these verbs. So let's take a look. Where are the problems? Omar's visit. Today, Omar is driving to a small town in the north. He's visiting his aunt. He has a new car and he loves music. So he is play the music loudly on his trip. Omar visits usually his aunt once a week. She is elderly and she is live alone. She loves Omar's visits. She is thinking he is a wonderful nephew. He always brings her some cookies. They usually sit and having tea together. Sometimes he fixes things around her house. They always have a great time together. So in this paragraph, I can see there's a mixture of things that are happening right now and things that are more like habits. And then we also have some non-action verbs, okay? So I always like to read the whole thing before I start so I really understand what's happening in the whole paragraph. So we start with today. So today sounds like right now. Today, Omar is driving to a small town in the north. So that's good. Present progressive, no problem. He visiting his aunt. Well, I know this is a problem because there's no verb that looks like that. He visiting, right? So I have to choose. He visits or he is visiting. So at the beginning it says today, and we start in present progressive. I have no reason to think there's a change here. It looks like we're continuing the same way, talking about right now. So I'm going to go with present progressive. He is visiting his aunt. He has a new car and he loves music. So have is a non-action verb, so I won't add any ing to that, even though it is right now, right? But he has a new car, that's good. He has with the S. And he love, oh. So here, my verb doesn't match my subject. He loves. So many students use the present progressive here. They said he is loving music. But go back to that information about non-action or stative verbs. Love is a non-action verb. You don't say I am loving. You say I love. It's almost more like a fact than an action, right? So he loves music. So he is play the music loudly on his trip. So we're back to his trip now, and he is play. And that's what I call a monster verb. There's no verb that looks like that with be plus base form, no. So he is playing or he plays. Are we talking about right now or are we talking about a habit? We're talking about right now, so we'll say he is playing. Okay, Omar visits usually. We have usually, so now we're changing to talking about his habits, right? But still it sounds weird, right? Omar visits usually? No. We have to put Omar usually visits. That was a little tricky, but you did do a homework where you practiced the order of those frequency adverbs. So that's on page 10, where you talk about always, usually, often, frequently. And that page on page 10 talks about the order of where you put this adverb and the verb. Okay, so Omar usually visits his aunt once a week. A lot of students didn't like this word, elderly, but elderly is a great word. It's an adjective. It means old, but it doesn't sound rude. Like if I say you're old, it sounds mean, but elderly is more polite, right? So she is elderly and she is live alone. Uh-oh. Monster verb. Be plus base form? No. So in this case, are we talking about a fact, a habit, or something that's just right now? This is a fact or a habit. So I'm going to say she lives alone. She loves Omar's visits. That's a non-action verb, so that's good. In present tense, I won't change that. Let's go to this next one. She is thinking he is a wonderful nephew. Think. That's one of those tricky verbs because there's the action meaning where you're working in your brain to understand. That's an action, right? But then there's also the meaning of think, that is opinion. It's her opinion that he is a wonderful nephew, right? She's not using her brain here. This is her opinion. So opinions are non-action verbs, so we're not going to use ing. She thinks he is a wonderful nephew. He always brings. So here's my habit word, right? Always is not a verb, it's an adverb. So don't be concerned about that S. It's just part of the spelling of the adverb. He always brings. This is the S we need to match he. Okay. He always brings her some cookies. They usually, okay, so this is going to be habit. They usually sit and having tea together. So there are two habits here. They usually sit and they usually have. So these two have to match, sit and have, both present tense. Sometimes, so we have more habit here, he fixes things around her house. See how this turned red? Why? Because after an X, you can't put an S. You have to put ES. So again, those spelling rules are on page 14 in your book. So review those. He fixes things around her house. They always have a great time together. So again, always. So this is a habit. So have will be simple present. All right? So I hope that makes your answers more clear. Please go back and look at that assignment and look at your scores and my feedback to you. So I wrote feedback to every person in the notes about what answers they had that were incorrect.